I'm a Michigan constitutional crusader, rising up when the world goes cold. No badge can bring me, no chains can take me. Truth in my veins, a fire them bold. To fire them bold.
Okay, so to give you some depth as to what's going on here, this is the Michigan Public Service Commission meeting. This meeting is supposed to involve a vote by the Public Service Commission about an ex parte order submitted by the DTE company for a data center in Saline Township. This data center is being a lot of citizens are very upset about it. They've done research. You can listen to the citizen comments at about 27 minutes and 40 seconds they start. They're currently trying to get this one built in Saline. There's also one planned for Howell Township, and then the other locations that they're trying to get one is Kalamazoo, Monroe, Ingham, Kalkaska counties. And my suggestion is that all of the citizens should stand up and let their voice be heard and put a stop to this, because from the research I've done, the data centers are bad for the public health of people in the areas of those data centers. So take that as you will, do your own research, and if you agree, let's put a stop to these data centers.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the orders and the minute action on the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The orders and minute action on the consent agenda are approved. Recognize Commissioner Parker.
Item 4A1 is case number U21934, which involves an application as amended filed by VW Broadband Inc. for a permanent license to provide basic local exchange service and the Win Exchange currently served by Win Telephone Company. Heard before you grants the permanent license.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21934.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21934 is approved. Recognize Commissioner Parker.
Item 4B1 is case number U21258, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company for reconciliation of power supply cost recovery expenses and revenues for calendar year 2023. Heard before you approves the application as modified by the order.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21258.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. And the order in case number U-21258 is approved. I recognize Commissioner Parker.
Item 4B2 is case number U21285, which involves an application filed by DTE Electric Company requesting ex parte approval of the Deckerville Solar Park project and the accompanying engineering procurement and construction master service agreement and the master supply agreement for solar panel modules. Heard before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21285.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. And the order in case number U-21285 is approved. I recognize Ms. Schmidt-Parker.
Item 4B3 is case number U21338, which involves an application filed by DTE Electric Company for approval of new securitization charges for the period of December 2025 through November 2026. Heard before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21338.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21338 is approved. I recognize Ms. Schmidt-Parker.
Item 4B4 is case number U21388, which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion to open a docket to collaboratively consider issues related to the reliability and resiliency of the electric power system in Michigan. Staff member Julie Jevin will describe this order.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. On April 13th, 2023, the Commission issued an order in U21388 in the matter on the Commission's own motion to open a docket to be used to collaboratively consider and address issues and concerns related to the reliability and resilience of the electric power system in Michigan in a Commission-sponsored technical conference. A two-day technical conference was held on May 22nd and May 26th, 2023. On December 21st, 2023, the Commission then issued an order providing further direction on resilience initiatives, including instructing Commission staff to create a straw proposal with recommendations to the Commission related to critical facility resilience. Commission staff filed the straw proposal in this docket on December 2nd, 2024, including the definition of a critical facility as a structure or infrastructure that is essential to the health, safety, and welfare of the public, and that is especially important during and after a disaster, and 13 recommendations for Commission consideration. On June 2nd, 2025, the Commission issued an order inviting comments on staff's straw proposal on critical facility resilience and directed the Commission staff to hold an additional technical conference on undergrounding and alternatives to undergrounding and file a follow-up report in this docket. Comments were filed by 5 interested parties: Consumers Energy, the Association of Businesses Advocating Tariff Equity, Michigan Electric and Gas Association, Indiana-Michigan Power Company, and Michigan Municipal Association for Utility Issues. Reply comments were filed by Consumers Energy in response to the Association of Businesses Advocating Tariff Equity's initial comments. After reviewing the submitted comments, some recommendations were updated by staff and presented to the Commissioners for deliberation. Staff recommendations include additional communication from investor-owned utilities, or IOUs, with Commission staff before, during, and after storm events, reopening the service quality rules to define critical care facility and critical care customer, and include a mandated 72-hour restoration deadline for critical facilities. Working with the MPSC Tribal Liaison to coordinate outreach with tribal governments, directs IOUs to meet annually with critical facility customers and emergency managers to discuss resilience needs, directs IOUs to review lists of critical facilities with state emergency managers to ensure accuracy and review the critical facility designation on a biennial basis, directs Commission staff to collaborate with IOUs to explore current practices and potential areas of improvement for identifying and prioritizing individual households with critical care customers during sustained outages, endorses further investigation into how to increase the deployment of single customer microgrids, and authorizes IOUs to release customer data privacy information to the Michigan State Police, Emergency Management, Homeland Security Division, and the SCOC without customer consent, limited to customer name, customer address, and contact information, i.e. telephone numbers and email addresses, during and after major interruptions as defined in Rule 102J for customer health and safety purposes or for federal disaster reimbursement. Additionally, this order directs Indiana-Michigan Power Company to provide the Commission staff detailed plans for how the company will meet the objectives of Recommendation 6, the Service Restoration Mandate, with its Priority 1 and Priority 5 service restoration coding system within 6 months of the date of this order. The order before you approves the recommendations contained in the Commission staff's December 2nd, 2024 straw proposal on critical facility resilience as modified to expand and codify some utility best practices around this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ginnivan. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21388.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'll start. First, I'd like to thank the staff and the groups that intervened on this important issue. This order highlights how important system resiliency is, specifically in the context of critical and priority facilities. A resilient approach begins with clear and consistent communication before, during, and after outages, supported by a post-event summary report that identifies lessons learned and areas for improvement. Resiliency also depends on ensuring that every critical and priority facility is fully aware of its designated status and knows exactly how to communicate with the utility during an emergency, eliminating confusion when rapid coordination matters the most. Regular mock storm and severe weather exercises are another essential resiliency practice, allowing utilities and critical facilities to test their communication channels, restoration processes, and decision-making under realistic conditions. And finally, resiliency is strengthened through ongoing engagement with city and county emergency managers, creating a shared understanding of reliability challenges, improving restoration coordination, and reinforcing community preparedness. Together, these practices form a resilient operational framework that ensures critical facilities remain supported and functional when the electrical system is under the greatest stress.
Commissioner Myers, is there additional discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The order before us is crucial for improving our processes and procedures to ensure that critical facilities like schools, hospitals, nursing homes, police and fire stations, and other locations that provide these essential services can be restored very quickly after a power outage or never lose power at all in the first place. MPSC staff put together the set of 13 recommendations, as outlined by Ms. Ginnivan, that have been reviewed by a host of interested parties and refined over the last year to get us to the robust set of changes in the order before us today. We talk a lot at this commission about improving reliability, so making power outages less likely to happen in the first place. But resilience, the ability to bounce back when an outage does happen, is really important as well. And it's especially important for these critical customers that are the focus of this order. So I'm especially thankful for the work of Julie Ginnivan and Alex Marisi, who led the effort to get these right.
Thank you, Commissioner Peretick. And then just maybe a few words from me before we vote. As Commissioner Peretick described, there's been a real focus on reliability over the last several years. And we have put in place a whole suite of strategies to improve reliability performance. The first of its kind third-party audit of PTE and consumers' distribution systems, the requirement that utilities file distribution plans, reporting requirements, investment in vegetation management and tree trimming, as well as grid hardening, strengthening our rules around service quality and the technical standards for electrical service, and a performance-based framework to better link the utility earnings to their reliability performance, to cite just a couple of those. And as a result, we are seeing significant progress. Data issued earlier this week by the Federal Energy Information Administration shows the fourth consecutive year of year-on-year improvement in weather-adjusted metrics relating to the duration of outages, putting us in the top half of states, which is significantly improved from our position just a couple of years ago when we were very close to the bottom. But at the same time, we know that challenges remain, particularly in storm conditions. And today's order addresses an important gap in that framework, how to strengthen resilience, particularly for critical facilities, but also looking more broadly at the system as a whole. One element that I'd flag, in addition to those that were highlighted by my colleagues, is a requirement that critical facilities, that utilities restore power to critical facilities in all conditions, including those catastrophic storm conditions, within 72 hours of the power going out. And 72 hours wasn't chosen randomly. It actually links with the requirements in other state and federal agencies, including in Michigan, around hospital rules, where hospitals need to be able to maintain power for the first 72 hours after an outage. And so by putting into place a requirement that the utilities are there within 72 hours, we're helping to ensure that there's no disruption of service, even in the most challenging conditions on the grid. And this coordination between commission regulations and requirements and other state and federal requirements helps, I think, to take a holistic approach, and that's something that I'm not sure government always does a great job of doing. So this really addresses an important piece of the resilience puzzle, even as we continue our obsessive focus on ensuring that our reliability progress that we've seen over the last couple of years continues. And with that, we will have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote, and the order in case number U-21388 is approved. I recognize Ms. Schmidt-Parker.
Item 4B5 is case number U21482, which involves a request for approval of interconnection procedures filed by DTE Electric Company pursuant to MISH Admin Code R460.920. Staff member Cody Matthews will describe this order.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. On April 24th, 2023, the Michigan Public Service Commission issued an order in case number U-20890, adopting the Interconnection and Distributed Generation Standards, affectionately known as the Mixed DG rules. Among these rules, which became effective in April 25, 2023, was Rule 20, which required electric providers to file proposed interconnection procedures and forms within 120 days and directed the Commission to issue a final order on these procedures within 1 year. To begin implementation of Rule 20, the Commission's May 18, 2023 order in case number U-21117 directed all rate-regulated utilities and member-regulated cooperatives, including DTE Electric, to file draft interconnection procedures by June 16th. Commission staff held a working session on June 21st to gather input on the draft procedures, and final interconnection procedures were required by August 23rd. DTE Electric filed its application, supporting testimony, exhibits, and requests for waivers on August 23rd. On September 28th, the Commission sought comments on DTE's proposal. Comments were filed by a wide range of stakeholders, including Ford Motor Company, MIEIBC, Energy Michigan, the Commission staff, and several environmental and clean energy organizations. DTE submitted reply comments on November 13th. On February 8th, 2024, the Commission issued orders in case numbers U-21455 et al., addressing new statutory requirements under Public Act 235 of 2023. Because of these changes, the Commission rejected DTE's previously filed interconnection procedures and required a new application reflective of the updated statutory requirements to be filed by March 22nd. The case was converted to a contested proceeding, the comments schedule was reopened, and the Rule 20 timeline restarted. DTE filed its new application on March 22nd. A pre-hearing was held and numerous organizations were granted intervention. Testimony and rebuttal was filed throughout the summer and fall, and an evidentiary hearing took place on November 4th. Briefing concluded in January of 25, and the case was transmitted to the Commission shortly thereafter. During 2025, the parties worked towards settlement. Considering the complexity of the filing and the amount of time it took to properly discuss the procedures, 3 joint motions were filed, one each in March, June, and August, to request extensions and to allow settlement discussions to continue. The Commission granted each motion, ultimately establishing December 2025 as the deadline for a final order and clarifying that any settlement filed after November 6th would not be considered. On November 6th, the parties filed a comprehensive settlement agreement, which included the final interconnection procedures that resulted from the months of extensive discussions. The settlement agreement before you addresses all areas of the procedures. A few highlights from this settlement agreement include a new process for how DTE evaluates generation sizing for its distributed generation program, allowing for locational factors such as orientation and roof angle to be included in the determination of project sizing. Additionally, the settlement agreement provides greater detail about how risk of islanding studies will be performed and when they are necessary, and also provides clarification about the use of PCS controls for export limiting projects and the screening requirements for those projects. These changes give more clarity to those using the procedures on how interconnections will be evaluated and studied. This would not have been possible without the considerable dedication, collaboration, and sustained efforts of all parties involved, each of whom worked diligently to reach a balanced and reasonable agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21482.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'd just like to give a special thanks to our staff who put in many months of work to get into the negotiations that got us to the settlement agreement that's before us now. It was a long road, as you heard from Cody in his presentation, with twists and turns provided by new legislation with new requirements right in the middle of it. There were 8 interveners in this case, in addition to our commission staff and DTE, and getting all 10 of these parties to agree on such an extensive and detailed detailed interconnection procedures was no small task. And having the buy-in of all of these parties makes the result very strong. So thank you to all 8 intervening parties, DTE, and especially the following staff who spent much of 2025 negotiating the settlement. Cody Matthews, Josh Chesley, Tim Sayers, Julie Baldwin, and Anna Sterling from the AG who sat in on all of the meetings and negotiations as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Peritic. As you were reading that list, I smiled at the reference to Julie Baldwin, who, when I started on the commission nearly 7 years ago, we were working on these interconnection procedures. Julie at that point was manager of the renewable energy section. She then became division director of our energy operations division and has since retired. And here we are adopting the procedures today. So it truly has been a long road, probably 8 or more years in the making. But I think the most important piece of this, and there are a lot of important elements within the settlement agreement, but it is that it was ultimately agreed upon by all the parties. You had clean energy developers, individuals interested in installing rooftop solar and other distributed energy resources, the company, our staff, really a full vetting around the opportunities that distributed energy resources can provide, an agreement about what the rules of the road will be in terms of interconnecting those distributed energy resources with DTE's distribution grid. So I echo your thanks to our staff, echo Mr. Matthews' thanks to all the parties who brought us this. I think having agreement means that we can move forward and execute, and that is in some ways preferable to a commission order that simply directs the path forward. We now have buy-in from all the respective perspectives, and I think that will ease the path forward from here. So appreciate the work that's gone into this. And with that, we'll have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21482 is approved. I recognize Ms. Schmidt-Parker.
Item 4B6 is case number U21596, which involves an application filed by Indiana Michigan Power Company requesting approval to implement a power supply cost recovery plan for 12 months ending December 31, 2025. Heard before you approves the application of power supply cost recovery factor as described in this order, except Scale 460.6J subsection 7, that Indiana Michigan Power Company may not be authorized to recover its full costs incurred under the Ohio Valley Electric Corporation's intercompany power agreement.
Thank you, Ms. Schmidt-Parker. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21596.
I second the motion.
Just before we vote, there was a glitch in the video feed, and so I just want to reiterate that the order in front of us approves the application of power supply cost recovery factor as described in the order, accepts the company's 5-year forecast, and issues a warning under Michigan compiled laws 460.6J7 that Indiana Michigan Power Company may not be authorized to recover its full costs incurred under the Ohio Valley Electric Corporation's intercompany power agreement. So just wanted to be clear on what we're voting for before we vote. Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21596 is approved. I recognize Ms. Schmidt-Parker.
Item 4B7 is case number U21912, which involves a petition filed by Alpena Power Company for a temporary waiver of the customer accommodation provisions of the Commission's service quality and reliability standards for electric distribution systems. The order before you approves a settlement agreement resolving all issues in the case.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21912.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21912 is approved. I recognize Ms. Schmidt-Parker.
Item 4B8 is case number U21931, which involves an application filed by Alpena Power Company requesting ex parte approval for accounting authority to use a regulatory asset to defer operations and maintenance expense associated with the March-April 2025 storm event. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21931.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21931 is approved. To recognize Commissioner Parker.
Item 4B9 is case number U21976, which involves an ex parte request filed by Upper Michigan Energy Resources Corporation for a waiver of the hosting capacity analysis requirement as part of the company's upcoming distribution system plan filing due no later than January 30th, 2026. The order before you grants Upper Michigan Energy Resources Corporation's limited request for purposes of the company's upcoming distribution system plan filing.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21976.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote, and the order in case number U-21976 is approved. I recognize Ms. Schmidt-Parker.
Item 4C1 is case number U21270, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company for reconciliation of its gas cost recovery plan for the 12 months ended March 31, 2024. The order before you approves the application as set forth in the order.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21270.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote, and the order in case number U-21270 is approved. And for the last time today, I recognize Ms. Schmidt-Parker.
Item 4C2 is case number U21847, which involves proposed amendments to the rules governing gas safety. The order before you approves the proposed amendments, directs transmittal of the approved amended rules to the Legislative Service Bureau and the Michigan Office of Administrative Hearings and Rules for their formal approvals, and transmittal of the amended rules to the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules upon receipt of the formal approvals of the amended rules governing gas safety from the Legislative Service Bureau and the Michigan Office of Administrative Hearings and Rules.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21847.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote, and the order in case number U-21847 is approved. We've now reached the time reserved for members of the public to address the commission. As mentioned in the notice for today's meeting, we will take public comments in the following order. First from individuals attending in person, and then from individuals participating remotely, either through Microsoft Teams or the phone, who have entered the speaker queue. As a reminder, this public comment period is for commissioners to listen to comments and concerns and not to answer specific questions. When providing comment, please indicate your name and where you live if you're willing to share, so that we have it for our records. And again, please limit comments to one per person and keep them brief, no longer than 3 minutes, so that we have a chance to hear from all who would like to comment. We have a number of cards in front of us, and then I know that there are a number of hands raised on the virtual platforms as well. So we're going to try and get through as many as we possibly can today. We were set to go till 2. We're going to go well beyond 2, but not infinitely. So I will call people up and I'll tell the people who's on deck as well. So Jordan Kleinsmith, I have you first, and then Tim Bruno, and appreciate the help with the pronunciation on that. You're on deck.
Thank you, Commission. I am here to comment on case U21990. I am a resident of York Township. Again, my name is Jordan Kleinsmith. I live right down the line with Saline Township, about 6 miles due east of the proposed project center. And I'm here today because my power originates from Saline Township, and in the 6 years I've lived in my home, I've experienced in excess of 100 power interruption events, most of which unfortunately have been brownouts or less than 5 minutes, and I have therefore had zero recourse to go up against DTE in any way. So of course, when I heard on Halloween that the DTE was applying for ex parte approval, I immediately had to figure out who you folks were that regulated them and call up, at which point I was met by a very kind rep who not only directed me as to how to comment here, but also how to open my own case, which I did for the record, which was case 01604540. And just 3 weeks later, I'm forever grateful for your staff's help, I heard back that DTE had performed an analysis of the past 12 months, found 8 temporary outages, 3 sustained. It would take 3 to 4 months to resolve because they did find several regulators in poor condition on my line. Now, shortly thereafter, the DTA case manager called me and said, actually, it's gonna be about 7 to 8 months because we have some additional 1 to 2 months of planning, 4 to 6 months of additional line surveys and other due diligence. And so I asked the committee today, does it not stand to reason that if DTE is going to self-impose 6 months of imposed additional due diligence, that you act for my 100 panel, that you do the same for all of the lines surrounding the 1.4 gigawatt installation, and at least make them do the due diligence that their lines are satisfactory to live up to this. I have a hard time believing that two companies that don't even know the cost of the infrastructural debt in their system today can negotiate in good faith as to what the true cost of this really is. And I'm worried that DTE will so narrowly define the terms of the very redacted agreement that they will be able to count my future necessary upgrades as indirect and then pass those costs on to us in the area. So I ask, please today deny the ex parte approval and move this into a contested situation where we can all see those terms and determine that they are in fact sufficient and this is a viable project. Secondarily, if you do the right thing and make this contested and it isn't eventually approved, I ask that you not just hold them to the standard of doing what they do today, ask them to be better. We currently have some of the worst outage rates in the entire nation. Please ask them to do a little bit to just get us up to the Michigan average. Maybe vary some lines, implement some standards around temporary outage maximums. Please do what, for my friends, family, neighbors, what you've done for me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Next is Tim Bruno, and on deck, Wendy Elvers.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm also here to speak on U-21990. My name is Tim Bruno, Saline Township resident. I live about 2 miles from the proposed data site. DTE should not be allowed to circumvent the MPSC process and public scrutiny. They have proven over the years to be unreliable and underhanded. In 2023, on average, it took DTE about 12 hours to restore power during an outage. That's longer than any other state in the country. DTE plans to prioritize power to these data centers. I personally spoke to a rep and he said their priorities were 1, emergency services, 2, senior citizen facilities. He stopped short on number 3. I asked him if data centers were number 3 and he refused to answer me. One of their open houses, Related Digital, said the DTE reached out to them because they have excess power. Now they want to build a $300 million substation to support the project. Who will be paying for this? We need guarantees of what we will not be paying for the infrastructure. DTE and Related Digital want us to treat data centers as critical infrastructure. Well, they're not. In a recent article by Bloomberg, AI data centers are sending wholesale electricity costs soaring. Increases as much as 267% more than it did just 5 years ago. Yesterday, I came across an article about a middle schooler who was making illicit AI images of classmates. I Googled that and found many other articles stating the same. Just this morning, I found an article on The Guardian I'd like to read from. Patricia, it started with an apologetic call from a colleague. I'm sorry, but I found this. Are you aware of it? He sent over the link, which took me to a site called Mr. Deep Fakes. There she found fake images of herself, naked, squatting, chained, performing sex acts with various animals. They were tagged slutty funk whore. It's disturbing that all the construction companies and city council members who called in to Wednesday's meeting in support of this data center, in addition to Governor Whitmer, Secretary of State Benson, and her husband, who's the VP of related companies that's spearheading this data center in Saline, are all support this technology. What will we do when all the women and children are exploited and the Great Lakes are dry?
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. Next, we have Wendy Elvers, and then Tammy Bruno.
Hi, my name is Wendy Alvers, and I'm from Augusta Township, Michigan. My comments today are related to case number U21990. And I'm here to express my concern over the Saline Data Center project and how it's unfolding. But first, Augusta, Benton, Berlin, Dundee, Frenchtown, Grand Rapids, Howell, Kalkaska, Lansing, Lowell, Marshall, Mason, Pavilion, Saline, York, Van Buren, and Ypsilanti townships. These are just a handful of Michigan communities I'm aware of that are in various stages of proposed data center projects since our government voted to grant tax breaks to billion-dollar companies. The developer tactics are all the same. No disclosure on the end user until a deal is signed, big promises made to local township officials with many signing NDAs, intimidation tactics like threats of or actual lawsuits, or local officials threatening to enact villages that don't require the people's vote. And lastly, communities find out about these projects before a vote is requested, but quickly learn conversations have been happening for months before that first public meeting, and the project has to be rushed throughout due to the developer's timeline. We elect our representatives to be voices of the people, yet time and time again, many of their voices are silent. Emails, texts, messages, and phone calls are not returned. We see you, and we want you to see us. DTE Saline Township project is expected to use 1.4 gigawatts of energy, roughly 25% of DTE's present electric demand. The data center's power demands represent enough electricity to power over 1 million homes, according to the Union of Concerned Scientists. We do not know what the energy demands will be if all of those other projects I listed above are approved. Where will Michigan be then? We need to look at the bigger energy picture instead of rushing this one project through when so much more is on the line. MPS commissioners, this is your chance to provide some equality between big tech, government, and the people. We ask you to deny DTE's request to fast track the largest industrial project in Michigan history and deny their ex parte application so that formal process or public hearings and judicial oversight remain. Please end the secrecy and protect the people of Michigan from the wants of a publicly funded company. I respectfully ask for a full contested case with testimony, discovery, and real scrutiny. As Attorney General Nessel has stated, this request could set a dangerous precedent for future data center projects in Michigan, potentially shaping the state's energy policy for decades. Thank you so much.
Up next, we have Tammy Bruno and then Madison Goff.
Hello, I am a Saline Township resident, and I am speaking on the case 21990. So Related Digital and Green Chili Ventures are both LLCs. There's two projects. I really want public to understand that this is what DTE is asking for is for two projects for Green Chili Ventures, not just one. So one is Saline, two is someplace else that Wendy may have mentioned and may not have mentioned. Them being LLC gives their companies and their bank accounts protections from having to fulfill and follow through on these contracts that they say they're getting or DTE says they're getting from these companies. That gives them legal protection from having to actually pay their bills. They go bankrupt, no one can collect that money. Their entire business case collapses under the timelines needed to plan, engage with formal public scrutiny and factor in risks. Then their entire business model does not work in Michigan. It should not work in Michigan. There's been a lot of discussion about the economic investment for the Saline Data Center in my township. The cost of the project is $7 billion, or so it keeps going up all the time. It's different every day. However, the $14 million investment mentioned in the consent judgment represents about 0.02% of what this investment in total is supposed to be. So, at the end of the day, the promise of new revenue for Saline Township is a possibility, but it's not a guarantee. It depends entirely on the project being formally approved through the Industrial Development District process and the state commissioner's final sign-off. Until that happens, the funds remain only potential. That's why it's critical that people, all the people of Michigan, understand the process clearly. Because only when the proper approval, which the state has to give, will those dollars truly flow into our community. So in short, the law lets Michigan manufacturers apply for temporary property tax breaks to build facilities, but they must first be a designated district to get approval from both local and state authorities. So that money has not come to Saline Township, and it may never get there, because if it's never approved, that certification is approved, we don't get it. So I'm asking the MPSC to not grant DTE's ex parte request.
Thank you, Ms. Bruno. We have Madison Goff and then Nicole Bieber. Bieber. Sorry, Nicole Bieber.
I was also going to correct you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Madison. I am a resident of Brighton, Michigan, near one of the proposed data centers to go into power. I want to talk about the data centers that Wendy so lovely defined how much they're popping up all over Michigan. I'm really concerned about the impact they're going to have on our environment and our communities long term. But my deepest concern is about how the will of the people is being subverted by the will of corporations. DTE lobbied for tax incentives for the data centers to come in last year, and they passed, despite environmental groups having concerns about data centers' impacts on our water and the environment at large. The city of Saline listened to its residents and said no to the proposed data center, and then at the threat of a lawsuit, had to walk it back because corporations have infinitely more money than a small city does, and they might not win that lawsuit anyway. So my ask of you today is pretty simple. Please listen to the will of the people of Michigan and not huge corporations that are coming into our communities and wanting to use up all of our resources and not give anything back to us. Please have open public hearings on all issues concerning data centers, especially when it's time to take a vote on those proposed data centers. And again, please listen to the people of Michigan, not corporations. Thanks.
And Nicole Bieber, and I definitely know better.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nicole Kiwe-Bieber, district has organized another national quickly. So I'm a tribal citizen of Little Traverse Bay, Vancouver. I'm living here in the Lansing area. Also wanted to discuss UT 21990 in solidarity here with the people of Saline who will be most directly impacted by this particular data center if it goes forward. I want to put an emphasis on if, though we are collectively being gaslit about the inevitability of AI being the future by the oligarchic billionaire sociopaths who fancy themselves our overlords. To quote the woman from Wednesday, she said, AI is not the future, our children are. And just, a nice note, you can do minus AI on any of your Google searches. You can read stop and do it into your Zoom chats, and you can just not click on it. Just don't use it. That's proven wrong. I also say if, because this critical effort to reject rushing the process and shutting out public scrutiny is having an effect. Apparently, the ex parte vote is not taking place today. Also think about direct impacts and creatings of water, the landscape of homelands, the wildlife who give everyone our quality of life. Even though MPC's purview is about energy rates, so let's think about that. So to rely only on the assurances of DTE and the corporate profiteers that energy ratepayers will be unaffected is ludicrous. To rush through and hide details, you don't do that if you're proud of your work and being truthful. So the lack of transparency is an obvious red flag. I'm in solidarity with you all, because our tribal nations certainly carry knowledge about this pattern of deciding matters only according to measures of worth set by those who look to profit by way of displacing communities, destroying land and water, dismissing the concerns of those deemed in the way, and backing out of flimsy guarantees. To the builders and laborers who are looking for those temporary construction jobs, supporting extraction and destruction is not the task at hand. Restoration is. Work abounds if we prioritize tending to neglected water infrastructure, remediating contaminated sites, retrofitting for energy efficiency, burying lines. All the work that would improve the places we live our lives, restore health and hope, and move us beyond the death spiral of continuing to allow shameless corporate oligarchs to arbitrate what is possible.
Up next we have Abigail Yeager and then Bob Jennings.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Abigail Yeager. I live on the south side of Ann Arbor. I'm opposed to the data center being proposed in Saline because it poses a great pollution problem for our community. For the people saying there will not be heavy water use at this project, where is the evidence for that? Nearly every other data center in the country uses copious amounts of water. How is this one going to operate with a suddenly new technology? In the state of Oregon, many people are getting rare cancers due to the concentration of nitrates coming out of the wastewater from the data centers. Around the Amazon data center in Morrow County, there were 25 recent miscarriages. In addition, people have lost their kidneys and are developing rare cancers and muscle disorders. The data center brings in water with some level of pollution in it already, then heats it and some of it evaporates, concentrating the pollution in the water that is left over, and then it dumps it into the community, which gets into the wells. People are going to end up drinking this water and will develop health issues as a result. No economic development is worth the cost of this. The diesel backup generators used at these facilities pose health risks too. In South Memphis, citizens report that it constantly smells like gas outside. This is nitrous oxide. After a data center was built there in 2024, there was a sharp increase in cases of COPD, asthma, and chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. Is this really what we want to bring to Southeast Michigan? Meanwhile, nobody is going to want to live in Saline Township next to the data center. Data centers are large eyesores. It creates a very industrial-looking setting. Property values are going to drop. Lots of people are going to leave. I think we're going to see just the opposite of economic development happen. People are going to leave as fast as they can. Thank you, that's all.
Bob Jennings, and then Anthony Hudson.
Good afternoon, my name is Bob Jennings, Saline Township near Grand Rapids. I'm going to change the subject for a minute and talk about my story. Today I would like to share my neighborhood's experience over the past 8 years with Consumers Energy. My data dovetails the Liberty audit, case number U21305. The outages became problematic in 2017, 5 years after the trees were trimmed. Isn't that ironic? I like to work with facts and data, so in 2017 I started and maintained a detailed diary of the outages, the weather, the locations, and the causes. The number one overwhelming cause was trees and branches on the line. Isn't that surprising? Over the last 8 years, we were without power for 311 hours, 39 hours a year on average, over 8 years running. That's 318% worse than the state average and over 506% worse than the national average. That's SAIDI with meds. Good news. After years of complaints, tree trimming took place this past September, 13 years after the last time the trees were trimmed. And we have not had an issue since. So far, so good. I would like not to be here today if the trees had only been trimmed in a 4 to 5 year trimming cycle like the Liberty audit recommends. Unfortunately, Consumers Energy is still following their old playbook because of my ongoing complaints with Consumers Energy and the multiple complaints with the Michigan Public Service Commission about inadequate tree trimming. Consumers Energy's response was, at a cost of over $1 million, is to relocate 2 miles of power lines on this circuit for improved reliability. This section of power lines is not the root cause of the poor reliability. In 2024, for example, we had multiple outages due to trees that fell on the power lines, bringing down both the power lines and the poles, and these power lines were over the pavement, and the trees were right next to the pavement in the easement. Again, trimming trees matters. A deep dive into the data will conclude this is another example of capital expenditures for the benefit of the shareholders at the expense of ratepayers. And I'm going to repeat that because it's very critical. The capital expenditures for the benefit of the shareholders at the expense of the ratepayers, as stated by the Attorney General and numerous organizations in their comments on the audit. Going forward, I intend to continue a detailed diary to justify or refute the need to move the power lines and spend millions of dollars. I fully support the Michigan Public Service Commission's statements made in June 2025 in response to the Liberty audit, rigorous analysis, balance in spending, meeting reliability goals as cost effectively as possible. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. Anthony Hudson, followed by Jason Dye.
End the monopolies, restore competition, protect the people. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Anthony Hudson. I'm not here just as a gubernatorial candidate, but as a concerned citizen out of Grand Blanc Township. I'm here today because decisions made in rooms like this, decisions made quietly, quickly, and often without public scrutiny, have long-term consequences for every Michigan family, every business, and every taxpayer. Today, we're told that meetings like this involve approvals for special contracts with DTE to serve data center projects. Let me be crystal clear. Michigan cannot afford any more backroom deals with utility monopolies. Not when families are choosing between their groceries and their heating bills. Not when small businesses are folding under costs they can't control. Not when our energy market is locked down by a system that protects monopolies instead of the consumers. For decades, the people of Michigan have had no choice in their energy provider. And when there's no choice, there's no accountability, there's no innovation, there's no competition. I believe we must open the energy market, end the monopolies, and let competition drive down the cost and drive up reliability. This is not a radical idea. There are 24 states already in the United States that have competitive energy markets. Their citizens choose their providers just like they choose their phone carrier, their internet provider, and their insurance. Michigan is stuck in the past and our energy grid reflects it. Now we are asked to approve yet another special contract where utility monopolies receive exclusive privileges to serve a corporate project. Privileges that the average taxpayer, homeowner, and small business owner will never get to enjoy. If a data center wants power, they should get it, but not by saddling the public with the cost of sweetheart deals. Let me ask the commissioners directly. Have there been any transparent competitive bidding processes to this? Will the rates for ordinary citizens increase because of this contract? Why do corporations get special treatment while the people footing the bill get rolling blackouts and rate hikes? Michigan deserves answers. The people deserve the answers. And I promise you this, if I'm elected as governor, the area of unchecked energy monopolies will end. We will open the market, we will require transparency, we will protect taxpayers, not the backroom partners, and we will restore accountability to a system that has forgotten who it serves. Because at the end of the day, Michigan Public Service Commission does not serve DTE. You serve the people of Michigan. I urge the commission to fully disclose the terms of this contract, reject any arrangement that increases public burden, and begin the transition towards a competitive, open, and fair energy marketplace. Under Article 1, Section 1 of the Michigan Constitution, the public trust doctrine, the state cannot transfer benefits of a public utility into the hands of a private corporation, at least not without clear public necessity. If we're not going to follow the Constitution, then try and get rid of it. Because no one in government in the state of Michigan has shown the ability to defend, protect, or even follow the damn thing.
Mr. Hudson, I have to ask you to wrap it up.
2 seconds. When government fears the people, it's liberty. When the people fear the government, it's tyranny. And I think we need more liberty in this state.
Jason Dye, and then Brittany Troyan.
Kind of hard to follow that, but I'm going to here. I've been kind of engrossed deep into these mega sites since they started up in Mundy Township where I'm at. Looks like there's plans for 7 major ones, and they're all kind of close or pipelined into our Great Lakes. If it is a battery / battery/computer chip factory, you're talking about 55 million gallons of water per day, per site, coming out of our Great Lakes, being transformed into forever chemicals, and then put back into our water supply. Hey, I got news for you. This term called forever, that means it's forever. They don't leave. They're, PFAS, you can look it up. There's nothing to get rid of them. There's some things to diminish or dilute or reduce. Nothing gets rid of it. That's why it's called forever chemicals. Now let's say, just for simple math here, 55 times 7 per day. Just the water. We're not talking about the land and everything else it does. Why are you going after farmland? Why can't this be done at, say close down industrial buildings and such? Oh, because then, we would still have farmland. You guys gotta wake up. This is way bigger than just some data centers. To me, it looks like they're trying to kill us. Take our land, destroy our soil, destroy our crops. I got news for you. What happens when it rains? The water from the ground comes up, comes into the air. We all know this little atmosphere stuff from talking grade school, right? So guess what that means? It's not just gonna be in one site. Eventually, this is gonna be across our whole entire state. There will be no pure Michigan. Everywhere is gonna look like some of these closed down GM buildings where you can't hunt or fish because everything's deformed and crazy. You know what I mean? We gotta stop this. Look at the, just, why can't we use the same water? If you're pulling out 55 million gallons a day, and that's what it takes per site, why can't you just reuse that water that you're supposedly treating and getting rid of all the forever chemicals? How come it's not adequate for your site? Yet you think it's adequate to go into our water system and supplies? I don't think so. And this has got to stop. All these underground meetings and all like we're doing right here. John F. Kennedy died for transparency, if you didn't know. That's what got him took out. Look at his secret society speeches. Now it looks like our whole entire effing government's secret society. And we the people are sick and tired of it. If you haven't noticed, if you would like to keep your little, games rolling, your best bet's not to piss off the ditch digger class. Because we don't take too kindly to the stuff that's happening. Have a good one.
Up next we have Brittany Troyan and then Aiden McClellan.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? My name's Brittany, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm just an ordinary, everyday American citizen. I'm a mom who works as a nurse. I moved my son and I to Saline Township because I love the quiet, rural, small town farming atmosphere here. I've never been involved in politics or public speaking before. I've always led a pretty low-key life. But right now I feel compelled to stand up and speak up with and for my community. That's why I'm here today to strongly oppose DTE being granted an ex parte order for case U21990. The Michigan Public Service Commission exists to protect the public by ensuring that energy in Michigan is safe, reliable, and accessible to all. Yet so many significant questions remain unanswered, and many critical details are still unknown. A project of this scale will profoundly affect Michigan's future energy mix and the bills paid by ratepayers for decades to come. This case is going to set an example for all future projects and cases. It's imperative that this board gets it right the first time. Conducting this review through an ex parte process mutes the voices of the public, keeps essential information hidden from independent scrutiny, and prevents the Commission from fulfilling its core duty to serve the public. I strongly urge the Commission to pause this timeline, convert the proceeding to a formal contested hearing, and provide full opportunity for public participation and expert analysis. Only through such an open and thorough process can we guarantee accountability and meaningful protection for Michigan ratepayers. A true contested case proceeding with all its safeguards is the appropriate necessary path forward.
Aiden McClellan. I think I got that right. And then Daniela Walbridge.
Hello, my name is Kayata Tamimi. I'm here as a public health researcher and a member of Michigan Nursing Against Data Centers.
DTE is asking for an expedited approval of their contracts to supply energy for Stargate Data Center. It's going to require 1.4 gigawatts of capacity with $7 billion in contracts. This is 25% of DTE's current power demand. DTE said the contracts can be approved without a contested hearing because they won't increase the cost of services to us as consumers. However, Illinois, with 244 data centers, has seen a 16% increase in year-over-year electricity costs. Virginia, with 666 data centers, has seen a 13% increase. Ohio, with 193 data centers, has seen a 12% increase. In the PJM energy market, our neighbor, data centers were responsible for 63% of the price increase, and some customer bills went up by up to $1,000. In rural Texas, data centers have caused communities to face homelessness. In Northern Virginia, they made a special energy rate for data center consumers of energy, and yet citizens still bear nearly 70% of the cost, while data centers pay only 30%. Taken together with other data centers being proposed in Michigan, the energy load will go up to 15 gigawatts. That is enough to power 15 million homes, almost 3 times more homes than are currently in the state of Michigan. Between 2010 and 2025, DTE has paid $2 million in labor, health, and safety violations and almost $14 million in environmental violations. They're able to circumvent clean energy commitments if their power demand exceeds their ability to meet their clean energy commitments, as outlined in MCL section 460.1032, which is the type of energy demand this data center requires. Furthermore, this entire process has been shrouded in secrecy. Related Digital, a real estate developer who specializes in data centers, sued Saline to rezone the land for this data center. Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, who is married to a VP of Related Digital and who is running for governor, is part of this secrecy and corruption. DTE has not been a good partner to Michigan, and this contract is not where they will start. If they were, then this redacted contract would not be all that we have to show for it. DTE is the largest political spender in the state, and they stand to make billions off of this contract, which we are not allowed to be privy to. As others have mentioned, AI's main functions are to generate internet slop, pornography that is damaging our children, and war making. Just this summer, OpenAI, the very OpenAI that is trying to come to Michigan, signed a $200 million contract with the Department of Defense to use their AI for war making, while they live stream that to us on our devices. I am calling on the MPSC to uphold your mission to serve the public by ensuring safe, reliable, and accessible energy services at reasonable rates. Reject the ex parte approval, reject these contracts outright. When the AI bubble bursts, we will not be able to eat, drink, or breathe a data center. Protect our communities, protect our farmland, people over profit in the state of Michigan and nationwide.
Up next, we have Daniela Walbridge, and then Gerard Guerrero Salinas.
Hello, my name is Daniela Walbridge, and I'm a student at the Eastern Michigan University, and I've been a resident in Washtenaw County for most of my life. Like many people here today, I'm here to talk about the sudden boom and onset of data centers in Michigan. In Washtenaw County alone, we're fighting against 3 different data centers, one in Saline Township, one in Augusta Township, and one in Ypsilanti Township. The buildup is largely happening in secret without public input or control. Local officials often sign NDAs before they even know who they're doing business with. In the case of the data center in Ypsilanti Township, the Michigan regents all signed NDAs with the company that is going to be putting that in there, and they went over the township board's heads in order to get this passed. These tech companies choose to put their data centers in townships because they believe that the township board governing system is easier to get to roll over. Decisions are made without the input of the boards, and therefore without the input from the community. The data center in Saline Township would require 1.4 gigawatts of power, equal to what's being used by more than 1 million homes. In Washtenaw County, we have about 160,000 homes. DTE says that our rates won't be hiked by these data centers, but if the amount of energy being required by just one of these data centers is equal to 1 million, that's 6.25% times the amount that's currently used to power Washtenaw County. It simply is kind of common sense that DTE is going to hike our rates. If that much more power is being used, it's going to go up. However, the main thing that concerns me about data centers is the promise of jobs. I don't believe that data centers will bring jobs to Michigan, particularly to the communities that they're being put into. Research shows that data centers they fail to provide the permanent jobs and only really provide the temporary jobs in construction. The jobs that are permanent are not jobs that the local community benefits from, and rather are remote jobs that can be done from a laptop and telephone room. The community that the data center is being put into does not benefit from these jobs. Additionally, AI is also taking our jobs. I have a couple of cases that I want to talk about. First one being McDonald's. There's a franchise in Oregon that someone owns, and originally they had 55 people employed. When they implemented AI into their system, that number went down to 5 people. If every McDonald's chain in America does this, imagine how many people are going to be unemployed just from that. The second thing I would like to talk about is a friend of mine who had an internship on Wall Street this summer, and normally after those internships, they offer you a job at the end of it. However, a lot of white-collar entry-level jobs are also being taken over AI, because the AI can be used as a way to do the data crunching that tends to be in some of the lower jobs that a lot of college students tend to go into. College graduates now account for 25% of the unemployed population, and it's not right that people who spend tens of thousands of dollars do not have the availability to get jobs. It's not right in general that jobs are being taken by AI without benefiting people. So yeah, finally, this is not going to benefit anyone that lives in the communities, particularly in our communities. Utility bills are just going to go up, and people are not going to get any jobs or benefits. It's just going to be the billionaires and the corporations who are coming into our city, our state. Yeah, thank you.
Up next, we have Jared Guerrero Salinas, and then Charlene Van Acker.
Hi, I'm Jared Guerrero Salinas. I am a 20-year military retiree. I just retired in April and moved back to my home state of Michigan, home of record. Moving to Ann Arbor is a new experience for me, and I'm been trying to find ways to get involved in the community. And one thing that happened was a community member from Saline Township reached out to me on Facebook and asked, hey, we need support for our township. We're getting steamrolled by these big corporations and their multi-million-dollar lawsuits. And these lawsuits are being levied against like normal American working families, like working farmers. They couldn't hope to fend off a multi-billion-dollar corporation, right? And I understand that you're not taking questions right now, but these questions that I might ask be rhetorical, and they're for you to reflect upon. I mean, is that democracy? Is that really democracy, right? I am here to very strongly oppose the ex parte motion for DTE's secret deal with this data center in Saline Township. It is weird, right? Why is this happening without the consent and overview by the public and experts, right? There are so many evident results from previous data centers that everybody has spoken out about today and previously to that. Like there's cause for, hey, let's pump the brakes, okay? I understand that we need jobs and stuff like that for construction companies and unions. Like I'm personally not against development overall, but we need some common sense, right? And one thing I think is pretty telling is we did expect to hear some kind of result on this case, this ex parte, if it was going to be approved or denied today, right? And earlier today, I learned that it was moved from the agenda, right? So why was it moved? Rhetorical question. Is it because we need more time to consider what's going on? Well, we feel the same, right? And this is a time in our country, we cannot forget the broader context of what's happening. The public's trust in elected and appointed officials has eroded. The public trust has been broken, right? And not only does AI not really benefit at all the residents that will be surrounding this data center, who really does use AI for, that internet slop, the stupid pornography that we've heard about, right? But who is actively using AI right now in daily operations in order to kidnap, torture, and terrorize American citizens and immigrants alike? Where do you think that processing power is going to go? right? And there has been, some pretty extreme takes, right, about the whole backdrop of, the context of what's happening. But this is a moment for leadership. This is a moment to show that you are with the residents that will be affected. There is no doubt that their quality of life is going to degrade because of this giant data center. The proof is in the pudding. They have not proven this to be beneficial, right? The return on investment is notional. What happens when that AI bubble bursts? You see the stock market, what's that being propped up by? Another rhetorical question, right? This is not appropriate.
So you need to ask you
Absolutely. Please deny, give us a chance. We need more time. We need more transparency. Thank you.
We have Charlene Van Acker and then Christian Alvarado.
I'm from East Lansing, and we have an issue with Board of Water and Light trying to make some type of data mining or data center in Lansing, and I came here to support that. These data centers will use a tremendous amount of energy and water. They'll increase global warming, increase the risk of water shortages, increase utility rates. If this is so great for the people of Michigan, let's see the contract. This should be fully vetted by the public. It should be transparent, the contract that is being between these billionaire oligarchs. Artificial intelligence is not a top priority for citizens of Michigan. Top priorities are affordability of utilities and safety and access for water supplies. Thank you.
Up next we have Christian Alvarado and then Sarah Braps.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Christian Alvarado. I live in Plymouth, but I am an organizer for Detroit Action's campus affiliate Michigan Student Action. Actually, today I brought with me some students from Eastern's campus because we know what this is going to do to not just Washington County, not just Saline Township, not just Saline, but to the entire state. And with that, I just wanted to say the people of Michigan deserve a say in what happens to our power grid, to our land, and to our water. DTE's attempt to fast track the Public Services Commission's review of this plan is badly anti-democratic. But it's just the latest in DTE's long history of putting profit over people. Michiganders already pay the highest rates for the worst service in the Midwest. We're tired of the rate hikes and outages. If the Saline Township data center project moves forward, it would increase DTE's system-wide demand by 25%. Plans for this data center must be carefully and transparently vetted, which is not. Anything less would be a slap in the face to Saline Township residents and to the ratepayers all across Michigan. Right now, we see no proof that these hyperscale data centers benefit anyone other than the few millionaires and billionaires who stand to make a profit. We can't allow a utility monopolies, outsized political influence to continue to drown out the voice of the people, because that is not democracy. Thank you.
Up next we have Sarah Braps, and Ms. Braps, before you start, I think we have 5 more cards. I think we can get through everybody who's put in a card at this point. I know there are some folks online who would also like to comment. I don't know that we'll be able to get to the virtual participants, but we did want to make sure that we got through everybody who traveled to Lansing to submit comment today.
Thank you. I forgot paper.
Oh, you can write small.
Right. I did write small. So, where's business's card? This is out of luck. So thank you for letting me be heard. I was there Wednesday evening, and I was not able to be heard. I was one of many people who were victims of teens, it sounds like. So anyway, I'm Sarah Braps. I live very close, I'm sure, to Jordan, was it, in York Township? I wish I had thought to open a case and track all of our outages. That was a brilliant idea. But I have a similar story to him. We are not far apart, I guarantee it. I'm in York Township, adjacent to Saline Township. And I first really appreciate being heard, and also you gave me a really great segue there, Commissioner Scripps, because I think that in a way, the fact that you did not decide this today, it shows me that you're listening and that you are being thoughtful. So I have more faith, just a little bit, that DTE may not get its way. And on that note, I just want to make a bet and have popcorn. If you do that, I will be doing that too tonight. That Oracle was not telling the truth when they said, oopsie, this deal is going to go away, that's why we need to move. Anyone that has children or deals with childlike adults, I suppose also, understands that when you issue problem statements, that doesn't require a response from me, or your urgency is not our emergency. And the thing that has been true the whole time with Oracle, with the Saline Township thing, is that they have falsely pressured repeatedly. At this point, I consider what they say a promise of the opposite. So I don't think they're going anywhere. I drive over there every other day and look at how far construction is going, and it's really concerning to me what the speed and the redactions relate to. If they opened up all of the redactions, I think that would be an interesting thing that will never happen, but I just want to say it on the record. And the last thing I'll say is that if you end up deciding this on 13th or 18th, I can't remember, but we would really appreciate it if you would do a second listening session that centers people that are more local and not as much business interests, because we really largely, I think I speak for several people here, did not feel heard. And if that's our one opportunity, aside from driving all the way to Lansing to speak, it would be amazing if you could do that again. So thank you for your consideration. And I loved hearing your praise of all of your staff and working with DTE and how much time and energy that took. That tells me that it's very possible to do, and they can just sit down and wait. Thank you.
A lot to fit on the back of a business card.
I know.
Natalie Zimmer, and then Eliza Saline.
I'm a student at Eastern Michigan University. I came here from Ypsilanti today, and I am here to discuss the expedite of the DTE on the data centers. I think that it's really important to listen to the people. There's a lot of people that have come here today, and everybody here is very against businesses controlling what's happening. We are the people who actually have to deal with the effects that these data centers are going to be causing. There's a lot of environmental effects. It causes issues with our water. It's a large issue with our energy supply. And we are the people that have to deal with that, not the businesses and the corporations and the other people who are trying to get you to make this deal. Like, we're the ones who have to deal with all these issues. And so I ask you just to listen to us and to be our voice, because we don't have anybody else to be our voice. Thank you.
Eliza Saline. I got even close to that, but apologies if I didn't.
Good afternoon, commissioners. We're pretty close. It's Khadija Smiha. I am an undergraduate student at Eastern. I don't actually live in Washington. I live we're near the area. I live in Macomb. But it still is of great interest to me that DTE is trying to pop up these data centers as previously listed all over Michigan. And it is very impactful in many things in everyone's everyday life. And I don't think those things have a valuable trade-off, because what is the trade-off to getting an AI data center? It's a target for cyber attacks. It's not producing anything worth. Like, I'm a psych major, and what we do know about AI is that it lowers the cognition of people. Anybody who uses, there's a whole generation of kids growing up using AI who don't know how to write essays. That's insane. You're like, I don't condone that, and I don't think we should be pushed aside by a big corporation to make them money and sacrifice our clean drinking water. As many people said, there are PFAs. There's so many instances in American history where we have these
big corporations, like leading back to like the 1800s, like the DuPont Water Company. There's still effects in the Northeast from that happening, and we can't let it happen again when we know that AI has all these drawbacks. There's the major drawbacks with water. Water is one of our very it's not a finite, it is a finite resource. We have to sustain it, and our Great Lakes are one of the biggest sources of fresh water. Why would we sacrifice that for technology that ruins people's cognition, you know? I don't want to grow up in a world where people don't know how to interact with each other because they're growing up just on AI, you know? And I think that you guys need to refuse DTE's, what they want to do, their initiative, because data centers do not bring anything good to Michigan, and it just deters the quality of life for everyone involved. Yeah, I just want to live in a world where I can drink clean water, not worry about as much plastic as there is in my body to exist, and you know, not live in a world where a big corporation runs my life. I don't want to be told to just turn off the sink while I'm brushing my teeth, when that's just a drop in the bucket compared to the amount of resources that DT is hoarding just to make money. And like, it's a redacted thing. We don't even know what they're really trying to do, and I don't think that's fair. Thank you for your time.
Good job, Jay.
Jennifer Oresti, and then Jacob Knowles.
Hi, thank you for your time today and for your decision to remove the vote about the Saline Data Center from today's agenda. I also want to thank the legislators who signed on in opposition to the data center, particularly my own representative, Kim Edwards in St. Clair Shores. My name is Jenna Resti. I am a community organizer at Detroit Action and with Michigan Student Action, and I'm here today to express my extreme concern about the rapidly growing number of proposals for construction of data centers across our state. I organize at Oakland University, but I'm also an alumni there, and in my first year, I had learned one of the Great Lakes state's greatest secrets, that our state government lets big corporations like Nestle take the water from our Great Lakes, bottle it, and sell it back to us at a profit, all the while getting a tax break. This information isn't so secretive if you were paying attention, but that's the thing that stuck with me. The amount of closed room deals that our government makes with companies that want to exploit our resources at a cost to Michiganders for their profitable gain. These big tech corporations aim to do the same thing with data centers. You have all heard concerns about the water and energy that data centers will use. And in fact, this would not be the first time I came before this body to call on accountability towards DTE, because year after year, they bleed our bank accounts dry as they continue rate hikes and give us incredibly poor service in return. And their outages consistently leave the poorest communities on their low priority list. For those who don't know, and I really appreciate, I believe Wendy, the name was said, who listed all of the cities in Michigan that are considering construction on data centers. Oakland University is considering construction on a data center right now. And in fact, they plan to break ground in spring. I have heard that DTE is going to have a role in this data center as well. Oakland University is a university who just had to have an emergency campus closure for a hot water heating infrastructure emergency. And now they expect us to trust them with a construction of an energy guzzling resource such as a data center. Not to mention their proposal for construction is next to the biological preserve and Native American heritage site. As all Michigan land is native land, I feel strongly about our means to protect it. It is our sacred duty to be environmental stewards of our lakes for others to enjoy and not exploit. So I ask you today, please, commissioners, hold these big corporations accountable. It's us Michiganders who are going to pay the price. And to the public, I urge you to please follow the money. Ask yourself who is going to profit from all of this. ask yourself, for what purpose are they trying to get this done? As a parent, I'm very concerned about all the things that people have brought up with AI and our students not learning right now. And then a quick last note, and I appreciate that you kind of acknowledge this, the faulty tech that happens with Teams sometimes. This would not be the first government meeting that I've went to that has Teams. I was at an MDOT hearing. I had issues with unmuting and being able to voice my opinion there. We deserve to be heard, so thank you for trying to fix that, and I hope to see that get fixed in the future. Thank you.
And then Jacob Knowles, I think you're my last card today, so let me have the last one. And apologies, sorry, before you start, I know there are folks online who waited in the queue. We are sort of well past the time for this, and so we do need to wrap up. Thank you, Charles.
Commissioners, thank you for not rushing to vote on DTE's request, expediting judgment on these special contracts. You're setting a good precedent here. And I hope to see every request of this kind be handled with the time and public input necessary to create an equitable approval process. The companies that stand to profit from the speedy construction of these data centers do not have the best interests of you or I at heart. Their concern for our electrical grid only goes as far as it might hurt their profits, not how it would injure us and our planet. I personally support rejecting these market bubble-inspired data centers and their requests to burden our electrical grid. I firmly believe my fellow Americans feel similarly.
I submitted a comment card.
Oh, I'm sorry, you did?
Yeah, is it okay? I have just a short thing. My name is Danny. I am a resident of Detroit. I'm part of Michiganders Against Data Centers. I know your scope here is DTE's rate setting, but I want to make the point that the reason DTE is applying for ex parte, the whole reason they're trying to fast track this contract is to power the AI data center in the middle of an AI gold rush. I think that context is very important. My work is in journalism. I used to be a financial reporter with the Wall Street Journal. What's happening here is an unprecedented scramble of investment money into an industry that has not proven a profitable business model. The warning signs are everywhere. Just to take one example, the first Stargate data center that they announced this year in Abilene, Texas, OpenAI said it was going to invest $300 billion. OpenAI said it was going to pay Oracle $300 billion to buy more cloud capacity. In order to build that cloud capacity, Oracle said that it's going to pay NVIDIA $40 billion to buy more chips. In order to provide more chips, NVIDIA said it was going to invest $100 billion in OpenAI to build more data centers. So the money is flowing from OpenAI to Oracle to NVIDIA back to OpenAI in one big closed loop. Meanwhile, OpenAI has not made a single dollar in profit. Last year, the company reported $5 billion in net loss. The first half of this year, OpenAI reported $13.5 billion in net loss. Just last quarter alone, OpenAI lost $12 billion. People who have been in the industry for a long time have been comparing this to 1998, 1999, right before the dot-com crash that wiped out $4 trillion in market value. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI himself, just this past summer in August, he said that he believes we're in the middle of an AI bubble. When that bubble bursts, it's not going to be Sam Altman, who has a net worth of $2 billion, who's holding the bag. It's not going to be Larry Ellison, net worth $260 billion, CEO of Oracle, who's holding the bag. It's going to be the people in Saline, the people in Michigan, local people. It's always local people who pay the price. So, yes, the MPSC only has jurisdiction over rates, but the rates being discussed here with DT's application for ex parte is part of a larger context that cannot be ignored. That context pulls all of us onto two sides, the sides of global corporations or the side of local communities. As members As members of your own community, we're asking you to please be on the side of the community in Saline Township. Please be on the side of giving this project the proper time and process that it demands. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I'm sorry that I haven't seen the card. I'm glad you stepped forward. Thank you. Okay, we are going to close the public comment period at this point. Again, the public can continue to submit comments to the commissioners via email at lara-mpsc-commissioners@michigan.gov. That email address is also in our meeting notice for today's meeting, and in fact, for all of our meetings. You can also submit if you're interested in joining the more than 5,000 people who have submitted comments to the case docket in this, you can go to our e-docket system, which is available through our website, michigan.gov/mpsc. Click on e-dockets at the top bar, and then enter the case number U-21990, and there's a way that you can directly submit comments to the case docket there as well. Leiter, do you have comments or announcements before we close? I have a couple of them, and I'll try and get through them pretty quick. The first is just to thank all of you for being here today, as well as all of those who joined us on Wednesday. That's my kicking back. I think we had nearly 1,000 individuals logged into the hearing, and despite some technical difficulties, we were able to hear from nearly 50 individuals. I was keeping track today, and I think we got up to another 22 this afternoon, and so appreciate all of you for your willingness to participate. I second wanted to highlight and add my support for the announcement earlier this week that the U.S. Department of Energy had selected Full Tech Government Services as one of the first 2 teams for up to $400 million in funding to advance the early deployment of advanced light water small modular nuclear reactors. Specifically, Full Tech's plan to deploy 2 of these reactors at the current site of the Palisades plant in Covert. The selections announced this week are critical to help move the nuclear industry in the U.S. forward, and I'm excited that Michigan and our leadership in this space is being recognized and supported by the U.S. Department of Energy. Third, one of the joys in this job is the unexpected interactions that we get to have with individuals who are in some ways connected to our work, whether it's people who come to our public hearings or in any number of other ways. And one example of that is the regular requests for comments, quotes, or other information that we would regularly receive from Sandra Gunderman, a longstanding member of the Capitol Press Corps, who most recently reported for Christ News Service, a radio outlet that was focused on issues important to the Upper Peninsula and often issues rooted in her deeply held Christian faith. It seemed like after every one of these meetings, we would get a follow-up from Sandra, giving us the opportunity to share our work with her listeners across the UP. And so I joined many others in mourning Sandra's passing last week after a rich life of 82 years. You really should Google her obituary. It's a fascinating life story, starting when she was born in Escanaba 82 years ago. We knew her as a dedicated radio journalist in Uper, including getting media requests even in her last months. And so we join her husband Ken and her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, as well as all who knew her in celebrating the lasting mark that Sandra Gunderman left on the UP in our state. Similarly, I want to share my condolences with the family of former Representative Fred Durhal Jr., who passed away on November 19th at the age of 73. Today is actually Fred's funeral, and I also note that Governor Whitmer has ordered U.S. and Michigan flags within the state capitol complex to be lowered to half-staff today in honor of his memory. Representative Durhal was first elected to the State House in 2002 to serve a portion of the city of Detroit. He served a partial term and then returned to the House in 2008, where he served an additional 3 full terms, ultimately becoming Dean of the House. I had the great privilege of serving and learning from Representative Durhal during my time in the House, and I'll say that there's no one who is more committed to the city of Detroit, to our state, or to the ideals of public service than Representative Durhal. So I join his family, his former constituents, and his countless colleagues, neighbors, and friends in honoring his memory. And finally, to end on a happier note, I want to offer our enthusiastic congratulations to Chris Forrest, the manager of our customer assistance team, on her recognition this week with the department-wide Outstanding Customer Service Award at the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs annual employee recognition awards ceremony. Chris and her team play a critical role in fielding inquiries and complaints from members of the public. You heard that from Mr. Kleinsmith earlier today.
helping to get questions answered, resolve bill issues, and connect customers with assistance programs and among a number of other services. There's no one more deserving of this recognition than Chris. I know Commissioners Perisic and Myers join me in offering that. Congratulations. With that, we will conclude today's meeting. Our next regular commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, December 18th, 2025 at 1:00 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn today's meeting.
I second the motion.
We'll now have a vote on the motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks.
I was thinking there is cash charge way back towards Detroit. I can send you the address of
There's the guy.
Oh, you're still filming?
Yeah, don't say anything stupid now.
Where'd you come from?
Huh?
Where'd you come from? What town?
I live over in.
Oh, okay, not too far.
Yeah.
A little further.
Yep.
Well, no, I'm against all this. Just like these solar panels I got sitting out here, they ain't working. They got snow on them.
Covered in
Cloudy
snow.
day.
Yeah.
It's not. They're not producing here.
Wind turbine on the roof would be a way better investment.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to put it somewhere, but they got to go in the ground. I mean, make a smaller model. Something residential could use in their backyard. That's not
Well, they
taking
make
up the
small
whole
ones.
yard. Do they?
Oh, yeah.
Then put them all along your roof. Put your solar panels on the roof. Stop putting them in the ground.
Yeah.
This whole thing with the data centers.
There's a farm.
I don't
on-
even know if I could be elected fast enough because I would take office January 3rd of 27.
Okay.
And if I can get in office before these things are completed, I can veto them. I can stop them.
Right.
But if they're already breaking ground in the spring, how long is it going to take for construction to get them operable? Then you have a problem. Then you have to look at eminent domain and how can you go around that to take back that land and turn it into a community center or something.
Right.
Community living, you know, for veterans or old folks or whatever.
Low income housing or something.
Something.
Yeah.
But if I can get in there before they're operable, I can shut them down.
Right.
And that would be.
So we just got to get these guys to keep postponing it and kicking the can down the road further.
Yeah. Or just listen to the people. The people don't want it. Stop overriding the people in this state, in this country, and start listening because we're the ones that employed you. If you can't do the job we employed you to do, then you don't deserve to hold that seat.
Right. And that one young lady was
I
talking
learned that
about.
because I'm running for governor. I had to learn all this stuff.
That one young lady was talking about how they have all these data centers in these other states and what problems it's caused.
Yeah, and it's just AI. I mean, you can put that in China.
And
AI is all over the world. You don't have to have it in Michigan for you to store that information, that data.
Right. And
Now, if this
AI
was
is
Google-
dumbing people down.
If
for
it
sure.
was Google coming and they were creating jobs for internet purposes for Google, that might be a different story. But this is just to store data.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Have
up?
a good day.
Not much. Still recording, by the way.
All right, so I gotta be quiet or not cuss as much.
Yes.
I get mad all screwed because on YouTube and stuff they'll demonetize you for 90% of my
Every other word is.
language.
He doesn't know anybody.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go hit this drive home. I'm hungry.
All right.
Before we shoot your truck with my Burma again.
Oh, you got a burner?
I bought a Burma. Yeah, Burma, yeah.
Yeah. How do you like it?
Well, I just shot it the first time the other day. The clip, 5 rounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
He went 10 feet, 15 feet from his truck and shot at his truck twice, thinking nothing would happen, and put two.
No, I was
dents.
thinking it would go through it, but it just dented it.
Right.
But it swatted that sucker. Like
Oh,
if you're
yeah.
point blank range, it might break a rib or something.
Have somebody shoot you in the ass with that thing.
I bet.
Whoa.
So I told Bethany at home. I said, "Listen, I want you to go down to the family farm and feed store because they have all the gadgets for it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the only place you can buy the pepper spray balls. because that's what I wanted it for.
Right.
So like if we're in Dearborn and somebody comes after me, I can just pop around in their chest and it's like macing them, but instead of being this close,
You're
I can
20,
be 60
30 feet away. Yep.
You know, and I was,
And it's non-lethal, you know.
I was probably about 40 feet away, and when I shot my yard sign in the front yard, didn't even hesitate, just went right through it like a bullet, just.
Mm-hmm.
So now I gotta put a new yard sign up in the yard.
There you go, leave it.
So people can think I've been shot at?
Yeah, makes you look cool. All right, well, what are you doing? Just hanging out?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to walk out of here. I was just waiting for you guys to come out.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm sorry, what was that? Yeah, that guy's Jason. Yep.
And Anthony.
She gotcha.
You signed in before.
Madison, have a good weekend.
All right, we're out of here, y'all. Catch you on the next one.